Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Season 2, Episode 10, titled Metalhead Rewired. This is a pretty good episode. I love the action. A fairly interesting ending. I thought it was sort of emotional because even though this character wasn't a living character, it was that sort of Ghost in the Machine type of episode where, Donnie recreated, Metalhead, and he made him smarter. He made him, with an artificial intelligence so he could learn different things. And although he starts off as a bit of a nuisance to the rest of the turtles because they think, it's kind of in our way, he does things that are, fairly extreme. They don't see how much he's really helping them. And they think that, because he kind of pushes Donnie out of the way and, locks them in a certain room in their home, they think, he's been screwed up by the Crane rewiring or by the Crane computer, and that he, has been redone, and now he's working for the Crane, and he's gonna just be like destroying humans and stuff like that. And I thought it was a really good episode. It started off, it was really funny, of course, them fighting against Metalhead and him just beating all of them up because he has, so much data in him that he knows all these different moves. He fights, like ninjas. He fights like the Foot Clan, and he also has like lasers and rockets, and he can, shoot his hands off and stuff. And he's just beating them all up. They kind of don't like him. Raph, Michelangelo, and Leonardo, they don't. And Donatello's like, guys, you just have to realize this was a good test. He's helping us learn. We have to practice, and it might take time for him to not just destroy us and beat us up, but he'll really help out the team as a fifth turtle. And they just don't appreciate that. They basically just hate him like more and more as time goes on. And then by the end of this episode, they realize how he was a good guy even when it seemed like he'd been turned to fight against the Krang. But he knew what they were doing from that computer, and he decided, I'm gonna go free all of the mutants that they have locked up. And when the turtles go follow him, then they realize this. He helps them out. They release all the different mutants, and it was interesting to see them, all in one place. We got to see all the mutants from last season and the new ones this season. My favorite personally to see was Slash, just because that episode was really good to me, and he was just really destroying the turtles. But in this one, he helped Raph for a second, and he kind of, he looked at him, and then he, jumps off, and so he's at a point, and it could have just been, it was in the moment. It was like, help Raph, because even in that episode, he cared about Raph, and so I think he still does. But it wasn't about him taking out the rest of the turtles to have Raph to himself. So it was kind of like, save that for another episode now that he's free again. But they had all the mutants, and they're all freed, and now they're back out in New York and off doing whatever and coming out of all types of different places, considering the turtles came out of a mailbox. So all the mutants are back out in the world, and with them showing them all in this episode, I think that's kind of a hint that we're gonna get to see them again, and they might not all come back at once, of course, but I think they re-showed all of them to say like, hey, don't forget these guys, because they are characters that still exist as mutants, and either they'll be back into their human form when Donnie finally is able to make the cure, or they're gonna be a problem again because like the Squirrelanoid, which is a real big issue, or like I said, Slash, they can come back because they're just mutant villain characters that have caused problems before, and they might come back again. So I think they showed us all of them to kind of keep them fresh in our heads, and we got to see all of them again, and I thought that was really cool. So hopefully they did do that for a reason, and we'll get to see all of them come back in some future episodes, which I'm sure we will, because they're mutants and they cause havoc. But overall, I thought it was a really good episode, and of course it was really funny. Like I said, the ending, a bit sad. Donnie lost Metalhead, and he sacrificed himself. It was sort of a human moment, if you will, and he couldn't leave because otherwise the portal would close. And it was just really cool to see that moment, and he let the Krang basically take over him as the turtles escaped. And in the end, the turtles realized, he was helping us the entire time. He saved our lives. He saved all the mutants. He saved us, and he sacrificed himself so that we could live, even though we were kind of crappy because we didn't really appreciate some of the over-the-top things he could do, like shoot his hand off and fly and shoot eye rockets and stuff. But it was a really good episode. I really loved the sort of emotional ending for Donnie, and it was just a good episode overall. It had the good action. Like the action scenes were really good, especially the ending portion. The comedy, of course, was good. Mikey constantly getting hit in the face with the hands flying around, and then, like I said, the emotional ending to kind of wrap up the episode, where everyone realizes, Donnie did do something good, and as the one who appreciated Metalhead from the very beginning, he's the one who was hurt the most. So it was kind of cool to see the guy, his brothers, kind of rally around him to kind of pick him up as much as they could, at least in the end of this episode. But love the episode. Can't wait for next week. Although I think it's going to be sort of I guess sort of a filler episode, because it's about April's cat turning into like an ice cream cat. So not too concerned about any real story being in there, but they might. That could just be like one half, and I hope it is. But I have to wait till next week to find that out. But comment below, let me know what you guys thought of this episode, favorite parts, least favorite parts, and with all the creatures or all the mutants being shown in this episode again, who do you guys want to see come back first? Because for me personally, it's definitely Slash more than anyone. But I feel like now that they've, found April's dad and he's free, hopefully, with April being the main focus and it's her cat, they can kind of just sort of bring her dad back in. And I'm sure they'll mention at least, like, hey, we saw your dad at this point. We just, couldn't, like, save him. That's how they saved him. They told him to, leave. But hopefully they kind of bring that up and, he'll be able to come back. But either him, just for the story element of him being cured or at least being found, and April sort of developing as a character, or Slash, because Slash was just an amazing opponent for the Turtles, and it was a really good dynamic and character growth, based episode for Raph, which is always really cool because he's, the angry one, and it's cool to have to see him calm down and realize, like, I have to relax so I can save my brothers. But one of those two, mostly Slash. But like I said, comment below, let me know, who you guys want to see come back first. And thanks for watching.